Fabian, is that congratulations at achieving something, or what happened in the game? What is your emotion after that?
Yeah, like you said, I think mixed feeling on the one side, worst timing for that kind of performance. On the other side, when you reflect the season and you take the overall season, then it's definitely achievement, because we are Brighton. We are second time now in Europe, so that's why we should see it more as an achievement.
Do you understand, like, you've only been at the club for a short amount of time, but you will know about the history, and so a day like today is kind of almost still unbelievable, even though the club is a completely different club to the one that you joined.
Yeah, that's why I think it's very important to see where we came from and to see our development in the last years, to see the players working hard to improving. The club always tries to find like small steps where we can get off the most potential from everyone. So I see that the daily business from the players, I see how hard they're working for this achievement, and that's why I think it's another milestone in the history from this club. It's another great individual achievement from the players, and therefore, like I said, we should be proud of the overall season.
And for you in particular, was qualification for Europe something that you were determined to do? Because obviously De Zerbi did that before you.
Yeah, I don't try to replicate the achievements from the coaches here before, because Roberto de Zerbi was a great coach for Brighton. He achieved unbelievable things with this club, and he set the base, the foundation for all the success that we could have in the last 2 years, and therefore we finished last season 8th. We finished now 8th, and that shows that we are consistent in this area where we can challenge the establishment, and that's also what we should do for the following years.
Andy?
Fabian, can I just start with the bad first before the very good? Can you put your finger on that performance when there was so much at stake?
Yeah, it's difficult to find one particular reason why we had this performance. I think overall we started well. We created moments. Then of course there was one corner, and then we conceded the goal. And I think the bad thing from us was that we didn't react well to the goals we conceded. We didn't stay in our structure. We tried to immediately react to things, and normally we should stay calm, but we stay calm, we act, we try to stick to our game. So that's what we didn't expect it from us. So you have these kind of days. Like I said, it was the worst timing for these kind of performances. But in 2-3 days after I reflect everything, after I calmed a little bit down, then I will try to see as well the positives, and there are also plenty of positives from this season.
And the second thing is, the Europa Conference League is a new thing for this club, and it's a new thing for you. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's another great opportunity to prove how far we are as a team, to make the next step. Of course, it's a new experience. We will face different teams, but like I said, we have to face this opportunity with a lot of positivity, with a great togetherness, with a good work ethic, and then we see what happens and where it takes us.
Fabian, how much are you looking forward to expanding the squad then a little bit in terms of taking that next step when you have the Conference League to contend with as well? What do you think going into the summer to make that step?
Yeah, it's important now, like I said, to analyze the squad, to get understanding what was good, what was bad, what do we need, where do we need to have like improvements. We have some contracts running out, so this will be a lot of planning for the next season. But like I said, we are well structured club. I really trust like Tony and Paul and Mike and Jason that we will do the right steps, what is important for the club, and then I'm looking forward for this challenge.
Can I just ask you about a few of those players? James Milner, do you have any clarity on his future, do you think?
Yeah, let's wait for the next days, because I think first of all we really want to speak about the season. We want to reflect everyone's performance, and then first of all I think it's very important that we give every player each individual feedback, and including this feedback we also James Milner topic, and then we see what happens.
Fabian, Carlos Baleba started the last 4 matches for you, but not today. Can you tell us a bit about that decision and playing an experienced midfield?
Yeah, I think like Carlos struggled a little bit last week in the game against Leeds United regarding physicality, regarding his condition, and also during the week he felt quite tired. So that's why we made this change. We know that Carlos gives us something special, but overall it was also like a decision for experience, like you said, and trying to bring players on the pitch that were there during the season when we had like this bad run. I think we should forget this. So overall, I really trusted the team. I trusted everyone who was starting today. In the end, afterwards, you know more, so you can judge these decisions. But we went into the game with a lot of conviction.
And there was a lot of speculation with Baleba and Manchester United. Would you still like to work? It affected him this season, didn't it? At the beginning, would you still like to work with him next season, and what do you see in his future?
100%.
Perfect. Can I ask you about your season? What's the biggest step forward you think you've taken, and maybe the biggest one that you haven't managed to take?
That's a good question. I think we face a lot of adversity, a lot of tough periods, and we always stick together. And I think I always had to believe in this group, and definitely in these times where it's not that successful and you try to fight for getting the right result, then you really have to stick to your idea, to your principles, and that's what we did as a team. That's what I did as a coach. So it's really important to trust the things I'm convinced of, and therefore I learned a lot regarding this. The thing I might change is this game today. So of course we wanted to go to the Europa League, but in the end, like I'm a young coach. I always try to reflect myself, my decisions, trying to get better, trying to work better with the staff, work better with the players. So there's always improvement, and it's a progress, and that's a process also I'm in. So that's why I think it's so important now to reflect everything, to see the positive, the negative, to be honest to myself, what was good, what was bad. And I can't point like this or that out. I think it's a process where I will never be 100% satisfied. That's what I know, because it's just inside of my body. That's just my attitude to always try to improve things. So I will analyze it together with my team, together with the club, and then the main things I try to change, but also try to keep positive things.
So, can I ask you about Jan Cooper as well? While he didn't start today, that's quite nice.
Yeah, it was just a team selection. So of course, Jan Cooper is a player who helped us a lot in the last weeks, but that was a decision we made.
Well done.